Hello and welcome to Map Mojo, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 movies I've watched for the first time during the month of August 2021. This list won't be strictly limited to movies that were released during the month. It's any movie that I've never seen before that I finally watched for the first time. I won't be including any short films, documentaries, or films I've seen before. Compared to last month, I watched a total of 1 more new movie, so from 22 films to 23 this month. So again, almost half of them will make this list, unfortunately. This is what happens when I don't watch movies. Starting off with a bang, this Netflix original is what some consider to be the worst movie of the year, but surprisingly, I enjoyed it. Arguably, I did leave it on the list just for the sake of putting it on here, but there were several aspects to it that I enjoyed. The plot is cliche, but the French exit taught me something along the lines of cliches just being a great story that's been repeated because it's great, or something like that. I don't have TikTok, so I don't know who Addison Rae is, and if you look at my letterbox, you can see that I accidentally referred to her as Charlie or Dixie D'Amelio. I didn't know who any of these people are. I still don't know who they really are, so I was just really confused. But even if I said the wrong person, I still stand by what I said, and whoever this lead actress is deserves a nomination for Best Lead Actress because I said so. Really, she did fine. She wasn't terrible, and I found this movie a lot better than the entirety of the Kissing Booth series. Either way, I just think people are hating on this film for the sake of hating it, and it's really not that bad if you just realize it's meant to be stupid, I hope. Congrats, Charlie, on your feature film debut. Honestly, I'm not too enthusiastic with putting this film in my top 10, but that's my fault for not watching many movies in August. I'm not saying that this is a bad movie. I actually quite enjoyed it, but it did have some slow parts here and there. From the praise it seemed to have gotten from film festivals earlier in the year, I had assumed this film would cater towards my interests, though that was not actually the case, which is completely fine. When the movie was funny, it was extremely funny, though the same could be said for when it was slow. Udo Kier is a fantastic lead and demonstrated the utmost confidence that I loved watching. Also, you can never go wrong with Jennifer Coolidge and Michael Urie in your cast. Controversial opinion, but I like the second one more. I don't know, I just felt like this was a good movie, but I just didn't find it as funny as the second one. Of course, it was a different time, so humor has changed since then, and my sense of humor seemed to be catered more in the sequel, but I still had a few laughs with this one. I can't believe that it has taken me this long to finally watch this film, but I'm glad I finally got it done. Sacha Baron Cohen is great at what he does, and I think he is such a bold comedian. I could never do what he does, especially out in public like that, so good for him. Also, I love these long titles. Keep them coming. Borat Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. To be honest, at first I was a bit hesitant to watch this movie because it felt like a film that was mainly for the white conservative demographic, and at times it can be dangerous for me, a person of color, to be surrounded by an audience like that. But at the end of its theatrical run, I decided to hit the theaters when they were empty and finally watch this film because it felt safer and I could not have been more wrong with my assumptions. The Matt Damon-led film was surprisingly more liberal than I could ever expect. To somehow make commentary on serious social issues such as immigration within America while being set in France is unique storytelling that I did not expect. This is another film that I was unenthusiastic about including in my top 10, but it's still a great film nonetheless. It does have an extremely long runtime that gets grinding at times, and it tends to go on long tangents in other directions from the main plot, but I didn't mind it too much. Also, being that I studied French for 4 years of my life, I was also very pleased with how much French I was able to understand without having to read the subtitles, so go me. Similar to Swan Song, I heard a lot of praise for this movie from the film festivals that happened earlier in the year, so that unfortunately made my expectations really high, making me not like it as much. But I honestly really do like the movie for what it is. I think that this is a fantastic concept that analyzes human morality and mortality without delving too deep into the controversy that comes with religion. It seems to be highly sophisticated and complex, yet creatively simple and understandable. It is every big kid word that I can imagine. I would love for this film to get some Oscar nominations next year, especially for Tony Hale for supporting actor, Winston Duke for lead actor, and Zazie Beetz for supporting actress, who particularly stands out. The movie is beautiful, especially with its clever use of cinematography and production design that perfectly creates an atmosphere that makes sense, even if it is in a supernatural afterlife-y world. This used to be number 2 in the list, but last minute I decided to lower it down just because I have to recognize the problems that I did not consider to be in a film that I initially thought was perfect. First off, Jennifer Hudson is such a fantastic actress, and I would love for her to get a lead actress nomination at the Oscars next year because she really portrays Aretha Franklin so well. Her singing is outstanding, but we already knew that. But the main problem about the movie is that, like Stillwater, it is a bit too long, and when it gets slow, it gets slow. Though those moments were pretty rare. I have heard the argument a lot that people do not want to watch a Wikipedia page film such as this one, which I guess is another way to say biopic, but I don't mind it. I would much rather watch a movie than read an entire Wikipedia article. Also, Wikipedia articles don't have Jennifer Hudson singing to me, so I would definitely rather watch the movie. I was going to try to review this without giving away any spoilers, but I feel like that's impossible with this film, especially considering all of the action that happens within the first 10 minutes alone. Most of the deaths felt creative and almost needed for the movie to progress, except for Polka Dot Man's. That death was completely unnecessary and I am upset that he died. Also, I'm pissed that Captain Boomerang died as well, because he was another one of my favorites. But even with the first 10 minute squad death scene, those characters needed to die in order to introduce the concept to new audience members and to establish that this is an almost completely new movie from the first one. Honestly, I do not like the title because it is difficult at times to distinguish between the first film and this one. This also felt more like a soft reboot than an actual sequel because they ditched several characters and almost the entire tone of the first movie. I don't know. It kind of bothers me that they just decided to pick and choose what they wanted to keep from the first movie and just completely ditch everything else, which is understandable from a business perspective because you don't want to remind audiences of the poorly reviewed first film, but clearly their efforts at a revamp did not seem to make much of a difference in their favor box office wise. The movie is James Gunn in his prime. He's a fantastic director with such a witty sense of comedy that works perfectly with this cast of characters. Also, his ability to adapt not so well known characters onto the big screen is amazing, especially considering that he was able to do the same thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy a few years ago. Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man are significant standouts in the movie, and I really wish that they got HBO Max series over Peacemaker, but at the end of the day, I don't decide what happens. It really is so unfortunate that this movie is not doing well in the box office, but it is understandable why. Along with the dual release on HBO Max, there was a lot going against this film, such as the strict R rating, current health circumstances, James Gunn's previous controversies, relatively unknown characters, the first film tarnishing the brand as a whole, and a whole variety of other factors to be considered. Anyway, it sucks that this movie did kind of bomb, especially since it is one of the most fun times I've had watching a movie. This horror comedy was surprising with its ability to actually make me laugh, especially with its seemingly modern humor. Vince Vaughn and Catherine Newton have great versatility as both character types, and I was not expecting that from either of them. The movie is incredibly self-aware, which makes it feel refreshing and unique from other slasher flicks. And speaking of slasher flicks, this is a great one, and it really let me love the genre. Originally, I had given this movie like 3 or 3.5 stars, and it was number 6, I think, but I just recently rewatched it and now I completely get it. This is another really fun movie that has modern humor and technology that is annoying for the sake of being annoying. The visual effects and production design were incredibly strong, of course aided by a fantastic original screenplay led by Ryan Reynolds. The way it was able to lead itself as a comedy that also featured elements of action, science fiction, and romance was remarkable. The stakes were really high and left me on the edge of my seat. It was your stereotypical hero versus villain storyline without any real twists or turns, but that felt so refreshing to watch. It knew what it was going to be and did not feel prestigious or cocky at all. Again, I really enjoy movies that are self-aware, and Free Guy definitely knew what it was going for. This was tough to decide which from the top 2 should go first, but I decided to put CODA at number 1 because it really stuck with me the most and I didn't need to watch it a second time for me to fully get it. What a delightful balance of comedy and drama. The film felt perfect in its smaller scale that allowed the audience to feel a part of the family. Also, I was not expecting this to have so much singing, and I love musicals, so that added a plus to this film. The movie felt very heartfelt and personal, and I, as an audience member, totally understood the passion that was put into it by the cast and crew. Everyone really pulled their weight, and it really inspired me to work towards more inclusivity with everything I do. CODA really is a film motivated by love, and it is so unique to see. It doesn't need to be over the top or flashy to tell a beautiful story, and really succeeds at its filmmaking. It is such a feel-good movie that hopefully resonates with audiences for years to come. Like last time, I will be doing a speed round of the shows that I watched in the month, but now I will only include the shows that I finished like a season of, and they will be presented at a random order. I honestly did not pay much attention to this one a lot, but it really did raise some questions within my mind. This is more of Athena's thing since both her and friend Leibowitz like to talk a lot. I can't believe how incredibly raunchy and outlandish that this show is, but it's here. It's wildly entertaining for some of the wrong reasons, but I can't wait for the rest of the season to air later this year. Perfect cast, perfect pacing, perfect story. I can't wait for Murray Bartlett to get a lead actor in a comedy series Emmy nomination next year, and also go watch my White Lotus video if you haven't already. This was such a cute show with some nice musical numbers, though it didn't stick with me too much. I would like a season 2, maybe a longer season with longer episodes to really expand on the characters more. I don't know, I don't think the spin-off was for me. The first 2 episodes really stand out still. This is a rewatch, but this is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. If you haven't watched it, you better do it right now or I will be very upset. Anyway, those are the top 10 movies I watched for the first time in August 2021. Here you should see my predictions as to what I think will be my top 10 for next month, September, so let's see if I get these right. Across the screen, you should be seeing a bunch of films fading in and out of those that didn't make the top 10 this month. Some were good and some were really bad, but you could just check out my letterbox to see my reviews and ratings of those.